I am so excited for this next session. Having tools and resources to help support the children and families that we serve is just so important. And the Thrive Children's Resilience Initiative will provide, hopefully, just that valuable tools and resources that will help people navigate through these challenging times, help stimulate conversation about critical issues, and provide effective tools and resources for support. You will surely recognize some of our local experts who have contributed to this initiative. And we would like to acknowledge the tremendous time and effort and energy for all of those local experts who supported the development of this work. So now I would like to introduce the lead presenter for this session. Samier Mansur is a proven social impact entrepreneur, recognized as one of the top innovators and disruptors of Washington, D.C. What a great name. He has spent his professional career at the intersection of innovative tech, mental health, and effective policy, and has designed solutions that have saved lives and reached millions of people around the world. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Samier Mansur.
Hello, everybody. It's such a pleasure for me to be here with you all today, and thank you for inviting me to this wonderful summit. So the theme of today is resilience and overcoming adversity with the right tools. So with that, I'll start with a question and a poll. Have you witnessed a child overcome adversity? Have you witnessed a child overcome adversity? Have you had that gift? So many of you here are child serving professionals and educators. Wonderful. I'm starting to see a lot of yeses and some no's. So it seems like the overwhelming majority, 96 and counting or more, have had the gift of witnessing this. So we know that it's possible for children to overcome this adversity. And as you think about these children in your lives that you have witnessed overcome adversity, I want you to think about what was it that helped them overcome that challenge. And for those of you who have not witnessed a child overcome an adversity, I want you to think about what are those things that this child has gone through. I want you guys to think about what are those situations or challenges that happened that made it difficult for that child to overcome adversity. And hopefully by the time we progress through the rest of this presentation, you'll be equipped with additional tools and insight to support children in your lives to make that transition from adversity into healing. So if we go to the next slide. So our belief is that with the right support, every child can rise and thrive into their full potential. I know that in the case of Butte County, this is such a resilient community. You've gone through so much, whether it was let me see if I can share the results and stop sharing. Okay, whether it was the wildfires, whether it was COVID, whether it was any number of other challenges that this community has gone through over the last several weeks, we know that with the right support, especially from the caregivers who are in their lives, we can help these children make an effective transition from adversity into healing. And so I want to share with you a little bit about myself. Some of you might be wondering who I am. As Danelle mentioned, I'm a social impact entrepreneur. I started my career in government and then created a mobile safety and security app with my co-founder, Christina Anderson, who was shot 3 times in Virginia Tech. So I've had many years experience of working with tragedy, adversity in school settings, and then going on to support over 5 million people around the country through issues of sexual assault and abuse, terrorist attacks, you name it, when we were serving communities, military agencies, Fortune 500s, and schools across the country. So that's just a little bit about who I am. And about 3 years ago, I started directly working with children and mental health when, I don't know if you're familiar with the Rohingya refugee crisis, but over 1 million people were displaced in a scorched earth policy that rendered over 1 million Rohingya refugees homeless and stateless as they fled into Bangladesh, and they went through the horrors of war. They were calling this the children's crisis because 60% of them were children, and they've experienced, I mean, you name it, the worst of war. And I was watching the television from my home and thinking, this is really horrible. Can I do something? It was one of those naive things that you think of, can I help these children in any way? And ended up starting an online campaign, raising some money. And within a few months, found myself on the front lines of the genocide, just miles from the killing fields, setting up a facility where we took in 500 of these children. And it is in the course of building this facility, and that's me there on the right, and these are some of the wonderful children. And in the course of building this facility, I realized that if these children are going to have any chance of living up to their full potential, we needed to start with their mental health first. And also, what I also noticed was that the caregivers around them, though well-intentioned, they didn't have the tools to know what to do, to know what to say, to show up for these children in the right way, to make that healing difference in this child's life. And so I saw right away the connection between the adults in these children's lives and their ability to make a full and complete healing. And this is what the children were drawing when I first came into the refugee camps and we created this facility. And this is a child. I've never seen crayons being used to draw these kind of images. But within 7-8 months of working closely with their adult caregivers and giving them the right tools and the training to show up for children in the right way, this is the kind of drawing that they were drawing. And this is a young girl of 14 years old who drew herself as prime minister so that, in her words, she can right the wrongs that were done against her people. So you see them going from a conflict mindset to a cooperation, future-based mindset, right? They're not just thinking of themselves as victims anymore. They're seeing themselves as someone who can do something to change the future for the better, and to do so in a cooperative way. And to make that transition happen, what we did was we created No Limit Generation, which is the world's first global child well-being platform, where we created 150 videos that are geared towards any number of challenges that these children are facing. And we find the world's leading experts to discuss what are the ways in which adults can show up for the children and address these challenges in this child's life. And when we talk about adults, it's the non-experts, right? Because what we found is that there aren't that many experts in this world. And if there are, like the Christina Bethels, the Junies, the Matts of the world, there's so few of them, right? Or the Danelles, or Sandras, Wendy's who are on this call I see. There are few of them, but the need is so great. So what we need is what we're calling task shifting, which is, what if parents had the ability to learn from these experts, right? What if teachers or youth serving professionals, volunteers, humanitarian aid workers can learn from these professionals? So we interviewed them and we put the content online just for the Rohingya refugee crisis. But what we found within a matter of months was over 100 countries started tapping into this content, and we trained over 55,000 caregivers on our content, which was incredible to see. But we also saw that whether it was a scorched earth policy in the Rohingya refugee camps, or whether it was the fires that are taking place, across the West in our country, or in Butte County 2 years ago, and then again this year, 80% of children in the United States don't have access to the mental health support that they need because of high cost or inaccessibility. That's here in this country, which spends more than multiples than any other country on mental health. We also found that in schools, some of you counselors are on this call right now, God bless you. I mean, there's one of you for every 455 students on average across the country, right? So you can see the tremendous gap in terms of resourcing versus the need out there. And then over 80% of educators constantly talk about the need for extra mental health support. So we see across the country, there's a great gap here, and that's the gap that we're looking to fill through the kind of services and resources that we're providing. And Dr. Bethel and Dr. Porter have done an incredible job talking about this, the impact of toxic stress as a child, and how that snowballs into the teenagers, into illness, mental health illness, physical illnesses, social challenges, and then into adulthood. And you can see not only the devastating cost to the individual of this unaddressed toxic stress or trauma as a child, and what that cost is not only to the individual's quality of life and prospects for life success, but also the cost of society as well. Because when you start adding this up, the prison pipeline, unemployment, mental health challenges, chronic health issues, that's massive. So this is what connected us to Butte County and really the visionary leaders at North Valley Community Foundation who are putting together this community-wide approach, because they see that there's a direct impact from childhood into how the community as a whole thrives. And as a result of that, we've come up with this partnership. And before I get into exactly what it is that we've created as a result of this partnership, I want to talk to you a little bit about our 3 pillars. And Dr. Christina Bethel talks about this often, how we are the medicine. This is something that we discovered as well in our frontline work around the world. It's just she put the right words to it, and so we're going to take it and we're going to put it in quotes. And so what we found was that if we create safe, structured environments for children to show up in every single day, that is tremendously healing in environments where it might be a little unpredictable, or what might be happening tomorrow is a little unknown. If we engage them as caring, trustworthy adults, again, that's very healing for them. And finally, if we believe in their ability to make a full and complete healing, and if we see them, if we hold them in our mind as who we see their potential as, that has the ability for that child then to then look at their situation and say, you know what, this adult believes that I can make this, overcome this challenge. So perhaps I can, knowing that somebody else is believing in me. And for many of us as parents or as caregivers or as youth serving professionals, if we just hold that vision in our mind and know that it's possible for the child to accomplish this, that child will begin to believe in themselves. If we go around the world thinking, I'm here to save the children, and if we approach it in that attitude or that mentality, that child is going to think, what? I'm broken. There must be something wrong with me. I must be needing saving. That child doesn't need saving. This child has everything within themselves that they need to make this healing. It's up to us to create the environments for them to make that transition. So our mission is, and it's a global one, but we're starting here with Butte County. We're on a mission to bring mental and child well-being into every classroom and every home. We want to democratize access to healing. And we do that by bringing the world's leading professionals onto our platform and create accessible, on-demand, evidence-based video training guides and solutions that are particularly relevant at this time in COVID, when even if you wanted to see a child well-being professional, you can't, because social distancing, et cetera. But even in a world without COVID, we know that there's 15 million children who need access to mental health support, and there's only 9,000 licensed child psychiatrists who are available for you. And most of these exist in big cities. So if you're in a smaller city or smaller town, you're going to be on a waiting list, right? And many of them, they don't take insurance. So there's a lot of gaps there. So what we've created is a resource that is no cost for the community. We found the leading experts and we're bringing them to you. And we do this in a different way. You might be thinking, oh, another training video, right? We've seen so many of these. There's so many of them online. But let me guess, the training videos that you saw are probably a little boring. There might be a lot of information dense. They might have the right information, but they're not always accessible as well. What we do is we use a process called human-centered communications, where we want to make sure that our training videos are not only informative, but that they're clear, actionable, and engaging, that they're actually giving you practical guidance. They're designed for non-professionals. Professionals can watch these, but they're actually designed for people who don't have that psychiatrist degree, who don't have that advanced training in mental health. So they're clear, actionable, engaging. They're easy to access online and offline. They're useful for all educational levels. They're evidence-based. And most importantly, what we realize is that for information to be received, it can't just be informationally dense. So what we do is we make sure this information is emotionally connective. We tell the human stories so that we connect you to what is it that this child is going through? What is that felt experience of this child? And then we give you the information you need to make a life-changing difference in this child's life. And in that way, we can all show up and be armed with the right tools to know what to say, to know what to do, to create these healing environments for the children. And this video content is primarily designed for educators and teachers, schools, youth serving professionals of after-school care programs. For example, Scott Denitis, who I also see is in this meeting, it features prominently on here through the Boys and Girls Club of America, and also parents and guardians These are the main communities that we hope will start to access these tools. And these are highly tailored content. So you'll see that, one, we started by actually conducting an extensive needs assessment, and we've been doing this over the course of a year. So this production didn't just come together over a number of weeks. We started the needs assessment over the last year. We've been putting the curriculum together with this range of experts. I mean, many of them who are on this call, and hello, thank you for joining this call. You'll find these faces familiar. And we involved community leaders as well. So in addition to the local and national experts, we brought in community leaders because the voice of these community leaders, from that, again, that non-professional perspectives matters as well. But I think what you'll find is that the experts and the community leaders are saying the same thing. And so you begin to see how the two merge to tell that story and present a case for healing for the community. So are you guys ready to watch what we've put together?
I guess I would characterize it as this kind of perpetual sense of impending doom, always looking for, what's the next thing to happen? When's the next shoe going to drop? What are we going to have to deal with next? How is that going to impact our lives? Our community in particular has dealt with so much crisis and so much adversity over the past couple of years. Most significantly, the Campfire, which, as you know, was the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in the history of California. That incident, that event visited trauma upon every single member of our community. It left no one untouched, no one was unscarred by that.
Probably the most vulnerable population at the time were the children. One student that came to me, the mother and the kids ran away from their home while half of their home was on fire. They stood in the middle of an intersection so they don't get burned because everything around them was black with smoke and on fire. They couldn't see anything, they couldn't breathe well. Trees were falling down and propane tanks were exploding. And the fire was closing up really fast to a point that they were feeling the pain of the burn. And the only thing that saved them was a helicopter above them, throwing hundreds of gallons of water on top of them to keep them cold and to keep them wet and to keep the area away from fire a little bit. That's how they survived. So when they came to me, you could imagine what sort of a PTSD the child had. A 5-year-old child could not sleep well. If there was any kind of a sound that was a sudden sound in the house or outside of the house, he would be in massive PTSD, very much like our old Vietnam vets. Children are not armed with the skill to cope with this massive trauma that happens in their life, whether it happened through the fire or the subsidiary reasons. Children were the most important demographic that needed to be looked after because of the severity of the trauma.
While it may seem like this whole topic is overblown, the truth is that this dramatic increase in child trauma is not an exaggeration. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, about 61% of adults surveyed across 25 states reported that they had experienced at least one type of adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, and nearly 1 in 6 adults reported that they had experienced 4 or more types of ACEs. Survey data collected in California between 2008 and 2013 revealed a similar pattern. In Butte County, 76.5% of adults surveyed reported 1 or more adverse childhood experience. That's the highest percentage of all counties in the state.
So what we are learning happens during large-scale disaster, during what we call community trauma, is the system itself, the community system, the systems that help to heal, get so impacted, get so overwhelmed that we simply can't serve everybody who's in need.
The effect of cumulative trauma in the community can lead to a downward spiral where even the caregivers themselves and the systems they work in can become overwhelmed.
We know one thing for sure. An individual, one safe adult, can have a profound impact on a child's life.
Every interaction creates a reaction in yourself and in the other person or group of people that you're working with.
When we're able to sit with the child and work with the child on an individual level in the moment, it has a profound impact on their neurodevelopment, a profound impact on how they see the world around them.
Another phrase we often use is "you matter." And every moment matters, and you matter every moment.
By learning the right set of tools, we can learn to recognize the signs of toxic stress or trauma and take action in the moment to help reduce its negative effects and give our children a fighting chance to rise and thrive into the future.
We need to have all hands on deck when we are dealing with trauma, especially when we are dealing with a child's trauma.
Every adult, every moment is in a position to actually help a child be seen, help them feel safe, to come out with what's in them, and start to learn skills that help them be resilient and thrive throughout life despite adversity.
When we think about what helps ourselves as adults and our kids heal from scary, difficult, traumatic events, there are really 5 essential things that we think about. If we understand how to apply those 5 essential things to ourselves and help our kids to apply them, we set them on a path of resilience and thriving throughout their lives and throughout our lives.
So I wanted to ask, what did you guys think about that? That was just the introduction video before you get into the learning. So that's just the context setting. You didn't learn anything yet. So that video essentially sets up, why is this important for this community, for California, and really for all communities affected by natural disaster or adversity. And then we arm you then with the next set of videos, which get into the specifics. And I'll share with you now once I share my screen. And thank you all so much for the kind words that are coming across. It sounds like this is something that really resonated with the community. And it's always wonderful to see the faces on the video show up in these meetings as well. But you'll be able to see also a wider range of the professionals, youth serving professionals that we interviewed in the rest of the video. Back to my presentation. Can you guys see my presentation now? Thumbs up. Okay, great. So, is this a resource that you think will be helpful for the community? I think based on the responses, I'm hoping that's a yes, because again, that was just the introduction, and just to give you a quick overview about what other episodes there are in this series. So you saw the introduction. Episode 1 is going to be all about understanding toxic stress. What is toxic stress? What are ACEs? We go into the history of that, and we go into how this impacts children. So you get to really see, again, from a very easy to understand perspective, using illustrations, animations, how this adversity, this uncertainty is affecting the children in your lives. Then we get to episode 2, which is understanding and knowing the signs of adversity and trauma or stress. So how do you know when children are going through this? The ways in which children exhibit their stress or traumas is very different from how adults exhibit or address it. So this will help you decipher some of those signs that we might be missing. Then we get into episode 3, which is all about helping yourself first. So many of us on this call are caregivers or youth serving professionals. And, we have that whole martyrdom syndrome, right? Where we're going to give and give and give until we can't give anymore. But really, we can only give once we're full, right? And then we got to give from our overflow. that's when we're able to give from our best sense of self. And so module 3, or episode 3, is all about how do you take care of yourself first? How do you understand your own limits? How do you know when you're stressed? And so when you're able to have that abundance within yourself, we can give the best healing we can to the children and show up in the best way for them. Episode 4 is all about empowering children. It's all about helping them become more resilient. It's all about giving them the tools also to support themselves when they encounter adverse situations or stressful situations. And then we get into community action, which brings all of this together and provides a framework for how the community can come together as a whole, the agreements that the community can make to surround these children and create environments that are designed for their healing, whether it's in the home, whether it's in the school, whether it's in public spaces as well. So we go into a specific framework that allows every community to understand how they can come together to create these conditions for children to rise and thrive. And so there's more. In addition to the videos, what we've created is an incredible guidebook that puts everything that you learn into the videos into effective summaries. And so the people who helped us put this together, the wonderful Wendy and Sandra, I'll be introducing now. Wendy Barron, many of you might know her. She is the co-founder and chief officer of Social Emotional Learning Emeritus at the New Teacher Center. She is a teacher, author, and researcher, an SEL consultant, and currently co-facilitates the statewide and California SEL communities of practice. And she also serves on the newly formed California Department of Education, SEL Task Force. And we also have Sandra, who is on the call with us today as well. And she is a coordinator for continuous improvement for Butte County Office of Education. She is a lead for social emotional learning in our county and serves on the California SEL Community of Practice lead team. So wonderfully qualified people who have put together this beautiful guidebook for you all. And I'll pass it on now to Sandra and Wendy to present what they've been working on.
Thank you so much, Samier. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So if you don't mind stopping sharing your screen.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. It's really an honor to be here today with you all. I've learned so much throughout the day. Now I'm ready to go back to the guidebook and add some aspects. Sandra, it's been just an honor really to collaborate with you on this guidebook and to build on all the incredible knowledge and expertise of those that are here today and in the video. I know you're going to learn so much as we did as we were preparing this. So let me know, can you see my screen? All right. So we just wanted to give you a little overview as to how the guidebook can support your understanding of each of these big areas and topics and deepen and expand your ability to apply these learnings in your own context. So each episode starts with some guiding questions, and then we summarize what the experts in each video basically is addressing. So in episode 1 about, you're going to see, well, trauma is real and what are some of the causes of trauma? And then how do we react when we experience trauma? What happens in the brain? Cortisol gets released, adrenaline, and that there are 3 levels of stress. And as we heard earlier today about our emotional responses to stress of the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, we just lift that up for you a little bit more. And then kind of talking about, well, not all stress is toxic, as you'll learn in the videos, and some stress is really valuable. Yet when we go into toxic stress is when we really want to be thinking about what we can do. And we've heard a little bit about those risk outcomes. And then we also heard this morning, about positive experiences. And so we just keep amplifying and expanding on what you're hearing in each video that you can use, and that, as we know, you can make a difference. So we summarize key learnings in each episode. And then as you can see at the bottom, we have some suggestions for how to put this into practice with children. So every episode has all of these elements, including, we have quite a few, including links to varied resources that can just, extend your learning. And then we have some ways that you might even not only expand your own learning, but facilitate a discussion either among other educators or with families or other caregivers, so that it really becomes a community of practice, a community thinking and developing together. And then finally, each episode, especially if you print your booklet, then you have the links that we've included. So that's pretty much just an overview of what the guidebook is and how it is linked and supportive of the videos. And Sandra's going to take us a little bit further into the relevance and value for the community. And I'm going to take us over to the end of this book. You start.
Thank you, Wendy. And yeah, while you're screen sharing, if you could go to the facilitator's guide, I think everything we've heard today just illuminates the value of us coming together and having these conversations. So how can we leverage this resource, not just to support our individual learning, but our opportunity to come together, learn together, and heal together? So at the end of each of the episodes, as Wendy said, we developed these discussion questions and we pulled them all together at the end of the resource. And we really are hoping that people will use this with groups, whether it's educators or parents or the youth serving professionals, and figure out ways to help support our children's resilience while at the same time building our own connections, strengthening our relationships, and building community with one another. So it's been such an honor to be part of this project, and being from Butte County and part of this, this work for several years now, it's like a dream come true to be here today. And I want to thank Samier and No Limit Generation for this project, and really thank North Valley Community Foundation and its partners for its vision for this Children's Resilience Initiative and Thrive as a whole. And Danelle, having you at the center of it is just been another dream come true. So thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this. And Samier, I am so excited to continue to see what you do with No Limit Generation. I'm going to hand it back to you.
I just realized I was on mute. Well, thank you so much, Sandra and Wendy, for helping us put this incredible resource together. Again, every video has been so beautifully encapsulated in this guidebook, and this guidebook is there to serve as a reference. You might not always have the video to watch, and by the way, every video is less than 10 minutes long. So there's 7 videos that apply to very specific aspects of the children's healing process, as well as taking care of yourself. Every video is less than 10 minutes long, but then this guidebook serves as almost like the Spark Notes version, so that you can share this very easily. You can have it just in every teacher's desk, or every organization can have a printout of it. Some of the pages are beautiful posters, so you can just have that poster, frame it up on the wall as a reminder. NVCF team did an incredible job with some of the graphics there, putting for example, Christina Bethel's philosophies into nice graphics. So we're really excited to share this with you. It's been a visionary experience working with North Valley Community Foundation on this. And I think it takes really visionary leaders to agree to have a project like this happen. And so I just wanted to thank the leadership of Alexa, the NVCF team, Danelle, our wonderful coordinator in rolling this out in the community. When we first started this, this was pre-COVID, and we thought the best way to get this in the hands of everyone is to create something that is of exceptional quality, exceptional production value. So it's going to be interesting, it's going to be engaging, because it's got to be something people want to watch. And I firmly believe that, you know, if we create the right tools and if we make it interesting for you, like through this partnership with North Valley Community Foundation, that now that we have information on how do we show up on children's life, what do we say, what do we do, how do we create that environment, now that that's broken down in such practical ways, that people will take the initiative to learn and do the right thing.
Samir, maybe while folks are thinking of a question or finishing to put their information in the chat, if you don't mind, we're going to turn it over to Alexa. She has a few words she wants to share with the group.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Alexa, welcome back.
Thank you, Danelle. Samir, thank you so much. I was sharing with my small group in the breakout session that when I first met you, and you shared your experiences with the traumas of, you know, international warfare and the devastation of the refugees that you met and held and supported. I knew that something that was happening in Butte County could really benefit from your guidance and your wisdom and your attention and expertise. And after that first talk, within the first few minutes, I deeply felt in my heart that if we could do this here in Butte County, because of the traumas that we had experienced long before the Campfire, but certainly within these new tragedies, that this is going to be a model that we can really share with communities around the United States of America. And what we learn here, I think truly can promote healing to our children everywhere. So thank you for believing in us and taking this leap with us. We so deeply appreciate your guidance and wisdom and support on this. I just wanted to make it easy for everybody. This might be a surprise to some, but we are going to go ahead and link all this up at nvcf.org. So we're going to ask you to go ahead and drive everybody to nvcf.org, your local community foundation website. I think Aaron's just put that in the chat box. And I heard overwhelmingly that PDFs and printable versions of the book you think could be useful. I know it was designed as a digital workbook, but we want to make this, and I know Samir echoes this, we want to make this accessible and workable for you in your lives to get to the families and the children that need it most. So if a PDF is needed, then we will find the resources to make that available to you. I know it's big, but we are listening. Today is about listening and learning from you, all of you. And this summit is just the very beginning of that, a very long and beneficial relationship. So we are hearing you and we are listening. Spanish works. We will take everything you share, and we have been all day, and we're documenting it, and we're figuring out how we can make resources a non-issue, financial resources a non-issue in helping you heal the world and heal our little kiddos. So thank you, Samir. And I just wanted to reiterate that we're going to ask you to go to nvcf.org to find all this brilliance. We'll make it really easy for you. Thank you again for being here today.
And thank you all. And thank you again, Alexa. Thank you, Danelle, for making this possible, and for all the amazing experts who are from Butte County and from around the country who participated in this project. Really, this couldn't have been done without you. We're so proud. And really, Alexa, I think this is the first of many projects like this to come. And I think this is really going to be the model going forward for many institutions. And so thank you for your vision here and helping making this possible.